Hello, everyone, and welcome to Inside the Newsroom. I'm Maddie Paul, and behind me is the live cam from Deadwood. It's looking really snowy today. Scott Mutt and I used to call this the Hallmark cam, or actually, he called it that, and I took it along with him, so now I say it's what we call it. But he called it the Hallmark cam, but now that the tree is gone, it's just Deadwood, and that's okay too. It still looks pretty with the snow. But this is Inside the Newsroom. We bring you the trending stories of the Keloland area, and we bring on our newsroom staff members to talk about these trending stories. They just happen to be the same stories you see every day on our newscasts and online at keloland.com. You get some really unique perspectives. And with Keloland Plus, you get really unique and original shows. Speaking of, Keloland Plus will launch a new show today called Keloland in Session. So join Keloland Plus every Friday at 3 o'clock Central Time. For this show, we highlight the Keloland news coverage of the 2026 South Dakota legislative session. Hear from our reporters and photojournalists as they travel to Pierre, talk to lawmakers, and preview the week ahead. Keloland in Session is live at 3 o'clock only on Keloland Plus every Friday. And of course, today for Keloland Plus, we will have a new episode of Boredom Busters tonight at 5:30, right after the 5 o'clock newscast. But stay around for Inside the Newsroom because up next, we actually recorded a segment of Keloland in Session that was really good, but didn't really have a place there. So you get to see some behind the scenes and a new exclusive look at the reporting that takes place when our reporters and photojournalists go to Pierre for the legislative session. So stay with us. We'll have more on Inside the Newsroom when we come back after the break. And welcome back to Inside the Newsroom. We had so much to say on Keloland in Session that we felt like this next segment I'm going to show you belonged on Inside the Newsroom instead. Dan Santella and Sophie Hall share their experience of working at the Capitol for the start of the legislative session on January 13th. You both had to drive out to the Capitol that day to get this coverage ready to go, right? What was that like getting out there?
Very windy. I'm the one driving usually, so we had to stop and fill up in Kennebec, which is highly unusual when we leave with a full tank of gas. Usually we can make it to Pierre, but we did make it. We just had to stop for a little gas.
And so then what was going on in the car? Did you both have a plan going into everything that you were supposed to be doing for this day? Because let's give some context for viewers going into Tuesday. You were both prepared to understand that there would be live shots and then also create packages to air in the evening shows too. And again, live shots for midday, the evening newscasts, and then also a live stream right here for Keloland Plus of Rodin's State of the State address. So what was the plan going in to the State of the State address in Pierre?
Well, Dan kind of knows the schedule better than I did, so he kind of gave me the lowdown on how many live shots we were doing, and I've done State of the State before and gone out to Pierre before, so I kind of knew what was happening, just not the details of it, I guess.
I think you kind of have to take one thing at a time. The first item is get to Pierre, get
Yeah.
all the gear inside. There's a fair amount of gear. Set up for that noon live shot, do that, and then immediately we got to put stuff together, and it's a lot of technical stuff for the live stream because we have two cameras.
Right, yeah, and I kind of take the lead on where the cameras kind of go and what they kind of look like, and just making sure that at least one camera is stationary and making sure that it looks good and all of that is all set up.
So is it typical to use two cameras then for live shots or anything like that?
Not for live shots, but for a live stream.
Right.
Because we know we want a camera on the governor to get and record that for later broadcasts, but also to have it for posterity and saving it. But that's what you see on the live stream, right? Mm-hmm. Through our satellite backpack, beams up to a satellite, back down to Earth through your televisions and online and through Keloland Plus. So we got that. And so I was up there on the second floor with that, making sure the audio was all good and all the settings were set. Sophie was floating around getting different angles and video of lawmakers, of the governor. Because when you watch the story, it's not just that one static shot on Rogan. All those other shots, Sophie's planning and curating.
And we're also talking about, well, what legislators are going to be important in the upcoming session that we have to get video of now. Because when State of the State happens, a lot of our video for the legislative year happens on this day.
Oh, right.
And so we have to kind of plan and make sure that we're getting everybody that's running for governor currently. Jamie Smith, who's running for mayor of Sioux Falls and is very outspoken, and Trying to get those people that talk to us often, just so we have that video for when these topics do come up.
So did anything unexpected happen as you guys knew this plan going in and it was coming to fruition? Anything unexpected or surprising happen at the State of the State address?
Not really.
Technically, things went pretty well.
Yeah.
And we
Yes.
wanted to talk to a Republican and Democrat afterward for the reaction. We did that right after the speech. And once we got those, it's like, okay, I got to start writing because the clock's ticking. And then Sophie takes a camera and goes elsewhere in the Capitol for those shots she was talking about.
Right, and I'm making sure that like state offices that we talk about, the governor's office, the secretary of state, the lieutenant governor's office, any like the state flags, all of that stuff that happens, like all of those offices that are in the Capitol. I'm getting video of those while Dan is writing, and I'm going outside and I'm getting exteriors of the Capitol. And making sure that I have all the B-roll that I need to then edit the pack very quickly after Dan writes it.
Yeah, so I finish up writing or so. Then it's get ready for that 4 o'clock live shot. Where are we going to do that? We thought maybe the House chamber would work. So we did that.
And it did.
Yeah, and then submit the scripting to Sioux Falls for approval by our producers and news director Anna Peters. I got the okay. Typically, when we're in Sioux Falls, we have an audio booth in which we record. It's sound has the styrofoam and it's great for audio recording. You just got to find a quiet spot in the Capitol to record audio.
Yes.
To do that. And then Sophie's got all the pieces. She's got the interviews with the two lawmakers. She's got the Roden State of the State address, all the videos she shot, my audio tracking, and all those bricks that I give Sophie. She builds a visual boat that can float, and and she does that. And yeah.
And in the middle of all of that, we're talking about, well, when's our next live hit? Where
Yes.
are we setting up? Dan likes to say that his job is to make friends everywhere he goes. And so in the middle of all of us doing this technical stuff, Dan is also talking to multiple legislators to like get their kind of thoughts and making those connections if we need them later in the year, and just risen people.
Shaking a lot of hands, talking with a lot of different people. We know like the story airs at 6, right? So we want that. That's going to be when I, in a live setting, introduce the story live. The story takes, and then I have a live tag, as we call it, an outro. And we thought, where's a good place to do that? We thought underneath the Capitol Rotunda. And we want things to look dynamic and unique. And I had an idea this time, and I think Sophie was a pinch hesitant on how it would look. But I thought, what if we started the visuals up on the state flag? And she brought the camera down to me.
You wanted it on the top of the rotunda.
Right.
Which is, I was a little more hesitant because that's straight up, and that's a long way to pan down. And so I was like, well, we can do something like that, but what if we start a little shorter on the wall with the state flag and then panning down to Dan?
That was a much better idea.
So little things like that where I take the vision of the reporter, and it's not just in Pierre and just with Dan, it's all the time. That's part of my job overall, is to take the vision of what a reporter wants and either make it like, how can we make this a reality and make it practical? And that was one of those instances with the state flag and Dan wanting the rotunda and me being like, let's maybe make it practical.
I love all this collaboration going on
Yeah.
between the two of you. Is there plans for you both to head back next week or the week after or anytime right now during the legislative session?
I think we let the events and news and developments dictate. We might be up in the next few days, in the next few weeks. It could be a while. Who knows?
All right.
We'll see what comes of it. And of course, we got Bob Mercer out there. We had dinner with him after that 6 o'clock live shot, and that was great. And
So hear more today on Kellerland In Session when you watch live at 3 o'clock or on demand on Kellerland Plus. And so to come on Inside the Newsroom, we're looking at how 10% of South Dakota teachers left their job last year. That's the headline. We have the story next. And welcome back to Inside the Newsroom. More than 10% of South Dakota teachers left their jobs last year. That's what an education consulting group told the Senate Education Committee on Thursday. Our digital reporter Gracie Terrell took a closer look at the changes to the teaching landscape in a recent Colorland.com original that you can read right now, but she's here to share some details that she learned about and wrote for her story. Now, one of the first quotes in your story that came up, Gracie, really stuck out to me, and I'm glad you chose this as your first one. And it said that almost 10% of educators leaving in a given year is alarming, but he thinks that's something that we can address. And this was by the Vital Network CEO, Nathan Eklund. That's what he told the committee that day. So what kind of research was presented to the committee, and what kind of stood out to you the most as you were writing this story?
Well, they're a national kind of education consulting group. They work with recruitment and retaining of teachers. So they just kind of do a lot of studies, they work really closely in North Dakota, and they were just kind of presenting some findings that they've done through studies, through kind of gathering other national information. And yeah, they said that, that is kind of an alarming number. Something to note though is they just left their specific teaching job that they had. Most of those people moved to a different district in South Dakota. Some relocated, some retired, and some left the education field, the profession altogether. And I thought one of the interesting things that they noted was that many teachers that left the education field altogether went to lower paying jobs. So it wasn't necessarily the salary that was maybe turning some teachers off from the profession, but they said that they, workplace, workload, work-life balance, and administration stuff. So those were kind of some of the reasons that they left the profession altogether. And that was something that really stuck out to me because, we always talk about teacher pay and trying to kind of work that up here in South Dakota and maybe get teachers a little bit more money. But for some of them, it's not about the pay and why maybe we are kind of dealing with a teacher shortage here.
What kind of tone were you aiming for in this story? Was it to highlight one specific point? Is it to be persuasive? Is it just to present all the facts that were given during that committee? What was your goal for the story?
I think it was just to kind of present the facts. I was looking at it for the teacher shortage, specifically in South Dakota. The Secretary of Education, Joseph Graves, he kind of gave his points about where we're at here in South Dakota, the things that we've done to kind of combat that. But then, as I kept listening, the Vital Network, they had their presentation as well on recruitment and retention. And I thought that was really interesting just to kind of see from maybe a national perspective, from an outside source, kind of what the teaching landscape here in South Dakota looks like. So I did include quite a bit of, their findings as well, and the things that they are looking at as to maybe why some teachers are leaving, and some things that we can do here in South Dakota to, keep some teachers on.
And what do you hope viewers take away from this story?
I just hope that people, kind of see what the landscape looks like right now, and the changes that have been made. I know last year in the legislative session, they increased the minimum salary for teachers to $45,000 a year, which moved us from the 49th in the country for teacher pay to 46. So still in the bottom there, but it is a little bit better. We're doing a little bit better. And teacher vacancies have also, gone down about 29% since last year. So there are some things that they're doing in different programs that the education secretary kind of commented on as to kind of help with that teacher shortage there. So I hope people just, see, the work that's being done, maybe some things that still need to be done, and some comparisons with some other states close by like North Dakota.
Well, Gracie, thank you for sharing all these details here at the Digital Desk. And viewers, you can read Gracie's story right now on Colorland.com. Just scan that QR code that you see on your screen right now to take you to our homepage, Colorland.com, where you can find Gracie's story. But stick around for more on Inside the Newsroom. We'll be back after the break.